All right, so for those of you who are either just joining us or if you are on the second video, welcome. This is going to be the InDesign portion of the assignment for week 4. So I want to make sure that I did this right, from the beginning so that you guys can figure out how to make a copy of your week 3 assignment and get started without writing over your files from week 3. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate into my week 3 folder in one Finder window, and then I opened up another Finder window that has my week 4 folder in it. So this is why, again, that's so important that you have the course, folder with the different weeks set up and things like this. And I'm going to find my work, which is under my assignment, and I'm going to find that packaged file that I made. And this is in week 3. I'm going to hold down the Option key and I'm going to drag it over into week 4. And you can see how I get that green plus sign, and then I'm going to let go. This is going to make a copy of it. I'm just going to go in and rename it to assignment 4. And I'll trash the IDML and the PDF file from there and just rename my InDesign file, because I'm going to need to repackage this anyways. And open that up. And as you can see, I didn't fully put together my assignment last week. We kind of went over what we had time to go over, and that was it. But I'm going to redo right now the tabs portion for you, because I feel like that one was a little bit confusing for people, and some people might have forgotten between week 2 and week 3 how to do those tabs. So I'm going to open up my table of contents document. So how to succeed in a difficult class, cyber tips, study time, healthy snacking, and graduation, it looks like. And it also looks like they did not give you the page numbers, but you can see where you needed to add them in. So the easiest thing, if you remember from the menu, when I told you, go into your Word document and put in a tab. So this is on page 1. Cyber tips is tab 1. Study time is tab 2. Whoops. Healthy snacking is tab 3. And graduation is tab 4. So I'm just going to copy all of this. I'm going to go into my InDesign document, and you can see where I turned on that layer with my example right here. Gonna draw my text box. And make sure I have my style sheets open. Which I'd already put in. All right. So I need to make a new style sheet for these, for this. Let me first, actually, I'm going to put table of contents in its own text box. Table of contents, make that basic. And this is a header 3. And navigate that down. And I already drew this text box here. This is going to be body copy. Grab this. Get rid of that. And I need to make a new style under paragraph. And where it says paragraph style 1, I'm going to double click, and I'm going to name this tabs. And I need to navigate over to the tabs area. And I want them to line up on the right-hand side of the number. So I'm going to click on the arrow that says Right Justified Tab, and you'll see where I can drag that arrow on this ruler here, and it's dragging it across my text box. And I had to kind of like drag off the screen to get it close, and then I'm going to end it right on the right-hand side of those numbers and put in a leader of a period and hit enter. And then I can manually move that down. And my version of Times, you can see, is a little bit different. And the table of contents is bold. So I'm going to make that bold. There we go. That took care of it. And that's all nice and lined up. So again, you have to do that in the paragraph styles. And also, I'll open up the tabs one more time and go over. You'll notice that you can't see the whole ruler. So I kind of had to, once I hit the end and dragged, I had to kind of drag off, basically, to get that lined up. So you gotta kind of like run your cursor off to the right. It's not very intuitive. I'll just cancel out that. There we go. Nope. Oh, that's not what I want to do. I want to edit it and make it bold, basically. There we go. All right. So we'll just pretend that I have page 1 all completely finished because I really want to move on to page 2 and page 3. And you'll notice that we didn't ever set up this bottom part of page 2 because we weren't going to worry about that. But I'm going to need to set up, and if you recall, let me place page 2 first. Again, because I'm pasting the second page of the PDF, of a multi-page PDF, I need to click on Show Import Options before I place it. So you'll do File Place or Command D, select that mock-up PDF, and you need to make sure that you check off Show Import Options so that way you can tell it to place page 2. And then we're going to navigate over to page 2 and hit OK. And also, you're going to want to make sure that you have this lined up with your margin. Let's double check that. That looks correct because I can tell by this. So you're going to line it up to the corner, to the 0 and 0 of the X and Y coordinates. And the easiest way to do the page number for page 2 is we can just copy this into our master. So I'm going to just literally do a Command C and go up to pages, double click on the master, and right click, and I'm going to do paste in place, or you can do edit, paste in place. And we've already set up the student matters correctly and this part correctly. So the easiest thing for us to do is to kind of zoom in, and I'm going to click on the student matters right here. I'm going to hold down the Option key, and as I start to drag to the left, I'm going to hit the Shift key after I start dragging. And I'm going to go right to the edge, and then I'm going to right justify this text in that text box, just to make sure I know it's lined up correctly. And then I'm going to do the same thing right here. Actually, for this one, I'm going to hit Command C and copy it. And then scroll over, and I'm going to do paste, paste, and bring it down. Again, line it up with that baseline. And if you're not sure if it's lined up exactly, and that's why you need to lock those on the other pages. If you're not sure if it's lined up exactly, double check what the Y coordinates are set at on your first one. It was set at 10.4. And I'll just double check that against this. And I had a 10.3901, which you might think, oh, close enough, but you know, get it right. And the page number goes on the left side. So I'm going to left justify this text box. And then I can actually just do a Command X in that one. I can put it all in one text box over here. Space. I gotta move that. And I put in the actual year, so I need to double check that I have just one space in between. And then delete this out of here. Because if I don't delete my example, it's going to show up on all of my page 2. And, oh, I need to duplicate this line as well. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on the line. I'm going to hold down Option, which gives me those 2 arrows. And as soon as I start to drag, I'm going to hold down the Shift key so it drags along the same baseline. And then just double check it. And looks good. All right. But the one thing I did do, and I messed up, is I placed this, I believe, on the wrong layer. I did. I placed it on layer 2. So I'm going to Command X, unlock that layer, and paste it onto example, and then lock that layer again. There we go. All right, so the text boxes that we're going to link are going to be the ones that run through this page over into this page. So the next thing that I want to do is I probably, even though I'm going to focus on page 3 first, I really want to, oh, something happened. I accidentally moved something up here. Back into my master. All right, I accidentally left justified that, and actually I want to fix this too. I'm running a little bit off over here, so let me do Command X. I'm going to put this in one text box as well, and I will just right justify that. There we go. All right, much better. Little tiny things, but they make all the difference. All right, so again, I'm going to place page 3, so that way I can kind of have a visual of setting up these text boxes all at once. So again, I'm going to do File Place, and NL Mockup, and I still have Show Import Options clicked, so I'm going to hit Open. Navigate over to page 3. I'm going to hit OK. And again, I'm going to click up here in the top right-hand corner. Looks good. 8.5 and 0 should be your X and Y coordinates. And then I'm going to lock that layer. All right, so the first thing I'm going to focus on is the Get More Out of Your Study Time article. And I want to create these 4 text boxes and link them. And I'm going to do that right away. So let's navigate down, zoom in a little. I'm going to draw my first text box. Making sure I'm on that layer that's not locked. And I'm going to go right from one margin to the other margin. And then I am going to make a duplicate of it. So I'm going to hold down Option and click and drag just like I did on my master page for 1, 2, and I can see that this is going to be a shorter one, so I'll close that up. Maybe to right at the top of this kid's photo. And then I'm going to draw my 4th text box because the article, again, goes from page 3 to page 4. I'm going to draw that over here. I'll just expand it down. Go. And I'll go over and grab that text. And it's called Study Time? Yeah, get more out of your study time. Close out the table of contents. So I'm not going to grab the headline yet. I'm just going to grab from students all the way down. Sure I'm not missing anything. And I'm going to, again, with your type tool, paste it in here. And what you'll notice is it doesn't on its own, obviously, go into these different boxes. So I'm going to have to really kind of zoom in for you to see. But there is this little red box down here that shows a plus sign. And it might be a little bit hard to see on my screen, but it's right down here at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is with my black arrow, my selection tool, I'm going to click on that plus sign until I get this. I'm kind of scrolling over off to the side, off to the left-hand side so you can see, or right here. It's a little box that shows a link and a lock when I've navigated on top of my other text box, and it shows a preview of the text that's running over. And I'm going to click right into that second text box that I drew. And it's going to run the text over into this panel. And you'll see I have another little plus sign with down at the bottom because it's still running over. So I'm going to do the same thing again, going into this third column. So I'm going to click on it and run it to that third column. And then I still have a plus sign. So I'm going to do it yet again. Click. And into this fourth column on page 3. Now you can see I'm not exactly matched up where I need to be. So I got to move this down till I'm on my baseline grid. And it's running a little bit out. So I'm going to expand these text boxes a little bit, just a little bit past my margin on each side. And what's my let's try 5 here. That's probably what it should be. Nope. 4.9 it is. Nope. 4.9694. All right. Copy that. I'm going to click on the middle one and I'm going to paste in the 4.964. And I'll do the same thing over here, just to get that on my baseline grid. And I'll probably have to close this up a little bit right there. And your times might match up correctly, or it might not. So I am going to just double check and see if I add a -3. To this, or if it's just because I'm using Times New Roman as opposed to regular times. I don't know if I have regular times. They are a little bit different. Everybody's version of Times, it seems, is a little bit different. So this happens all the time. Haha. Can't even tell where it's, if it's where mine is. Try -4. And closing this up a little bit more. It's close. Also, I'm going to need to get rid of these other drop caps because we only have the one. So I'm going to grab all the rest of this text. I'm going to go into character and I'm going to change it to just body. Oh, and that's not going to do it. I got to fix the paragraph as well. There we go. Makes it a little bit easier to see where I am. And if you're not quite sure which one's yours, sometimes you got to just kind of move it over. And I'm going to drop a ruler where their line ends so I can visually see, all right, what I'm doing. I need to move is to the next line. So I'm going to do Shift-Enter. And then I think if I do -6, maybe. And move how to the next line, Shift-Enter. Getting close. That's pretty much good enough. All right. So let's see. I have header 3, but this is going to be different. These headers that I've already created for page 1 aren't the same headers that I need for this. So I'm going to change this back to body, and I'm going to need to figure this out. So this looks like it might be maybe 15 points and definitely bold. Maybe 14. Let's try that. I'm just trying -5 for the entire thing right now. See if that works. That's closer. And again, it's also that red font. Pull up my, not my color, pull up my swatches. Where's my swatches? Swatches, there we go, that red. And that is gonna be my header 4, I think. So I'm gonna make a new style. Double click on this, I'm gonna name it header 4. I'll double check it's got everything I need. Times New Roman bold, 14 over 15, -5, and red, and I'll hit OK. And again, I'm gonna have to double check what's going on down here and do those shift enters where I need to. And close up this text box a little. Down here as well. And what's different over here? My bullets that I've set up are different than the bullets that I needed on page 1 again. So you can see that there's way less of a space between the bullet and where the word is. So yep, they're definitely different. So we're gonna go in and create a new style. And we'll name this bullets 2. I'll just drag this over here to figure out those. And you can click on preview so you can watch what's happening when you're putting things together. I don't know if you guys noticed that little preview tab. I need bullet points, tab position needs to be 0. No, 0. No, 0. Thank you. Or really? Left indent 0.25. First indent is 2.5. You're not going to let me use a 0. Why? Number must be between 0 and, but I'm not going to allow you to use a 0. All right, hold on. I'm not sure if it's my InDesign. My InDesign's been doing some weird things lately, so let me see. I think I can. If you are running into the same thing as me, what we're going to do is we're going to do this as a tab if you're running into yeah, it's being super picky to me. Yeah, that sounds about right. Do you want to know, you may have thought last week that I was losing my mind when I was doing something in Photoshop, but I think I was doing it in Photoshop in this class. But I was trying to left align something and it kept going to the right. Somehow, my quick key for left align and my quick key for right align in my Photoshop switched places, and I don't know how, and Adobe doesn't know how either. They're like, something went wrong. And I'm like, yeah, it did. Something definitely went wrong, and I was teaching a class, and I looked like an idiot, but thanks. I was like, no. I'm like, if I hit the quick key, it's not working. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to set this up as a tab instead of setting it up as a bullet. So I'm going to go into this paragraph style, which I never saved, and I'm going to go into tabs this time. And I'm going to left justify this tab and put it, oh, I can't see where. At, should be, 5 is way too much. There we go, all right. Put it right here. 0.25. And I'm going to name this tabs 2. And hit OK. So that tab is there. I'm going to do Shift Enter tab. Probably be easier again to move this over and move everything where it needs to go. Sometimes you gotta, when you're building things on top of other things, you'll notice I hit the wrong part of the word. Catastrophic. Then I'm going to do Shift Enter, move terms over. Shift Enter at time, hit tab. Same thing, going at it, bunch, and late start. And you may be thinking to yourself, but those were on their own lines. Why do I have to do a tab there? That doesn't make any sense, because it's still part of the line in front of it. So that's why you have to do the Shift Enter and then hit tab to get it to the next line. All right, let me make sure I set these up as tabs 2. No absolutes. And never, oh, whoops, it, that back, if and next. Don't, all right, we'll do that one next. Right. Move this one over. And even though it's on that other column, it still had the same tabs. Close you guys up for a moment, get you out of my way. Even and feel needs to be on this line. So open that up just a smidge. Bad about it. And then the your environment matters is that new style that we created, which was header 4. Where it go? There it is. And we'll move this over and check out how we did. Again, lining it right up on my margin. And I need an extra return. Nope. Get rid of that return. There we go. And is it, oh, where am I? Than. Than is the word that's the last word. Is it? Oops. Is it real? Is it TV? On or off? All right. So yeah, it gets a little bit confusing, as you can see, when you're trying to build on top, but it is helpful. Whoops. Just gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna move this one over here. I'm just gonna go line by line and see where I need to move stuff. The house out, so B needs to, and again, always doing a Shift Enter. Areas, gathering, check. 1, finding, really, can, few, years. Change this to header 4. I believe we needed to get rid of a return. I'll do that after. In the same are consider in having 12 study get spending you material move study. Oh, Sometimes that'll happen. 12, study. 2:30, view. To learn. Stay group as important and study. All right. And last but not least, it seems things, move this and space down. The word and, so move will. Just hit enter, shift enter, shift enter, shift enter. Interesting. Classes, shift enter. Bring this up a little. Shift enter, shift enter. All right. So I did need to remove that, and I needed to remove this return right here. All right, so now this all matches up. It runs from page 3 to page 4, or from page 2 to page 3, sorry. I'm going to save what I have done, because as you can see, if I just lost all that, I would be really, really bummed. Feel like I'm off on this one still. I am. It needed to move down. There we go. All right. I was like, I know that there's a word off there. All right, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up page 3. I'm going to add the headline here in the 2 images. So I'm going to draw my first text box up here. And get more out of your study time was the only thing that I didn't copy. So let me copy that. And this should be header 2, I believe. Or header, nope. Header 1, there we go. And let's place those images. So I got study time. And this is RGB. So this is one of the things that we didn't go over, but what you really should be doing is changing these to CMYK. So I'm going to open up all of these JPEGs and I'm going to change them to CMYK real quick, because that will get rid of that error that you see when you are placing, and this is, seeing as it's a newsletter, it's a print piece, so our images should be CMYK, they shouldn't be RGB, and I know it's not in the instructions and it's not really something we went over, but it's still a good thing to do. You know, if we're gonna do things, let's do them correctly, right? So I'm just gonna go to image mode, CMYK, and okay, and just hit save, and I can close it out. And then image mode CMYK. You go over more of this in DES 113 and DES 114. So that's why it's not in your rubric. You're not going to lose points if you don't do this, but it's still, you know, it's good practice to do this. So you should definitely get into the habit of, you know, knowing, all right, is this going to be a print piece? Then it needs to be CMYK. If it's going to be something I put up on the web, then RGB is the way it needs to be. So just kind of get yourself into the habit of that. It'll help you out later on. Save. Save. That broccoli does not look fresh. That looks like frozen broccoli that somebody thawed. I'm just throwing that out there. Like somebody definitely put that broccoli in the microwave. All right. So now you will notice where this image has been placed already, that what's going to end up happening is in your links. It should, oh, it's not, it's placed from the old file. So hold on, I'm going to relink this with the little lock box. I'm going to go back to week 3 to the student matters, and I'm going to relink it from there. And I think it's how to succeed. There we go. So now I have the CMYK one. And I'll place this from Student Matters. And if at this point you can unclick that show import options, because it's just going to give you like 3 more panels that you have to click OK from, which is kind of silly. You don't need that right now. So this is study time. Again, click and drag. And you'll notice this needs to be cropped a little bit. So I'm going to drag it off to the side. I'm going to just take a look. The easiest thing for me to do will be to, with my black arrow, go up into my ruler, drag a rule down here, and drag it down here to see where I need to actually crop it to once I've moved it over. Now, make sure you're on the ruler and just crop it up. Bottom. And then I like to just kind of zoom out and look at the 2 of them side by side and try to manually move him up to where he needs to be. Get as close as possible. That looks pretty good. Let's see where the bottom of his hair drops off. Yeah, I think we got it about spot on. Drag that over. Can you tell I used to have to do this for a living over and over? I can't tell you how many times I've had to build things on top of other things to the point where I get really picky about how it's laid out. All right, next I'm going to grab that second image, the guy sitting on the floor who looks like he's gone to school in the 90s, like he went to school with me, basically. And start here. And we're going to have to do the same thing. You can tell we're going to have to crop it. And he's cropped about down to here. Let's try that. And crop to right here. I think we're pretty much there, close enough. All right, and then we have page 3, building on top of this. So again, we're going to do it similar to what we did in page 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the same type of background box as I made on page 1, where you've already created the box and you've already created it in the colors that it needs to be. They're going to be the same exact colors. What you can do is you can kind of just zoom out enough so you can see page 1 and page 3 at the same time. And again, hold down that option key and just drag it down to page 3. And then you don't have to reset up that box with the colors and everything else that you've already done. Get it just right. And what you might want to do for this is you might want to actually create a 3rd layer and drag that layer down and just name it blue background. and move. So I'm going to click on it on layer 2. I'm going to do Command X. I'm going to click on the layer for blue background. And what I want to do is I want to right click and say paste in place. I'm going to put it on that layer. I'm going to turn that layer off while I'm adding my text and my images. So that way I can turn it back on at the end and it'll be all ready to go. What do you find was the hardest thing? I'm sorry, I just saw that in the chat. Oh, that blue box. Okay, yep. So this might be a little trick, you know, put it on its own layer and then turn that layer off while you're adding all that text in. And again, you can see that it needs to go right on the baseline grid. So we'll set that up. And we're going to have a similar element where it's that image is placed in front of it and that text is running around that image. So there's kind of 2 ways that you can do that. All right, first thing I'm going to do, I think, is place this image. So again, I'm going to go to File, Place, or Command D. Go and grab that healthy snacking image. Start right here. And I can see it zoomed in. So let me get this box exactly where it needs to be. Zoom out a little. And then with my white arrow, I'm going to click inside and I'm going to hold down Shift and Command at the same time. And I'm going to grab this bottom white box here and drag. And that's going to proportionally scale this until I get that plate. The plate needs to be like right where this red line is, the bottom of the plate. I noticed it before. And I'll kind of move it over and look at it side by side. Pretty spot on. And grab healthy snacking. We can close out that one. I'm just gonna copy healthy snacking, not the rest of it. Draw my text box. And this needs to be centered, so you might want to go right from that margin right to the end. Ugh. This is why I hate working with drop caps, because it always defaults to that the first time and it drives me absolutely bananas. Basic paragraph. Centered. I think this is header 2. Yep. There we go. And move that down. And draw my first text box here. So there's 2 ways that you can do this, and it's kind of up to you whichever way will be easiest. You can try to line up your text box on the left like this, and then draw your text box and grab that first paragraph and paste it in there, and then try to manually move it. That's one way you can do this. The other way that you can do this is you can draw your text box starting at the margin, move all that text in, and then you're going to select all that text. And what you want to do is go to the paragraph tab, and you want to manually in the first box, move the left indent over and to 0.125. And that way you know it's exactly lined up where it needs to be. Oops, nope, trying was supposed to be on that line. I'm gonna have to do the same thing. Move this over. We tend to associate, oh, come on. Associate. So food needs to be moved over. Shift Enter R. And open this up. Smidge to get that. There we go. And right back to the margin. All right, so again, we need to have 2 text boxes that are going to be running into each other or running from one to the other. So I'm going to draw the first one. I can do the same thing. I can start over here and manually move it over, which might be a little bit easier than trying to line that up. And then make a copy of it by holding down the Option key and dragging. And again, if you find the Option key and dragging is difficult, you can always just draw another text box, or you can do, edit, copy, edit, paste. It's whatever is easiest for you. That's the good thing about InDesign, is there's no one way sometimes to get to the solution. And I'm about, as long as, you are doing the right requirements, I'm not going to be picky if you didn't hold down the Option key. I can't tell that you didn't do that. I just like to show you a couple of different ways to do things, because some people, like I find holding down the Option key and making a copy that way a lot easier than doing, a copy and paste function or drawing a second text box. But other people might find it a lot easier just to draw that second text box. So I like to show you kind of multiple ways to get at the same solution in the end. So that way, hopefully everybody can find a way that really works the best for them. I don't like to be picky about little things like that. All right, so this, if you'll notice, this list has 1 through 5, but this has bullet points. So we're gonna have to deal with that. And one way we can deal with it is we can actually change it to bullet points right in Microsoft Word by going up to the top and changing it from numbers to bullet points. That's one way. Or we can do the same exact thing in InDesign. And sometimes it doesn't even copy the numbers over. We'll see how InDesign feels tonight, because you've all seen how my InDesign's acting with me. So who knows what will happen. I'm going to go basic paragraph right off the bat so it doesn't default to that drop cap. And actually I can set it to tabs too, because I do need to move some of those tabs over. We'll see if they're the same size. And it did put in the numbers, which is fine. So I'm going to go to, see, that does change it to bullets, but I do need the tabs to be a little bit different. So it might be easier. Oh no, it didn't take off the numbers. Never mind. So it might be easier to just change it to bullets in Microsoft Word. Let's do that and copy and paste it, because it's adding in more bullets, like a bullet and a bullet. I used to change it for you. It probably still does, and mine's just not working correctly, as usual. All right, so again, we have that plus sign down at the bottom. So I'm going to close this up a little bit, and I'm going to click on that plus sign. And again, you get that link when you're right over the text box. I'm going to click and let that go over to the link. And let's deal with this. So tabs 2 is not the same as what I needed, I don't think. Looks like it's a bit off. Let me hit, no, it is a bit off. So let's duplicate that style, and we'll call it tabs 3. And you'll notice I right-clicked on that and did duplicate style. You can just make a brand new style if you want, whichever one is easier for you. And I gotta move that tab. Where aren't you moving? I can't tell which one's mine. There. Is it okay? Maybe? Yes, no, maybe so. Which one's mine? Okay. Escape. I don't know why I did that. Tabs 3. Oh, maybe it didn't. Okay. All right. So you need to make one tab. For some reason, I don't know what my computer's doing right now. You need to make a first tab, but you'll notice that popcorn, the first word, is lined up a little bit different. So we actually need to make a second tab, which means you need to click on the arrow on the ruler again, and you'll notice it adds in that second tab, and you need to line that up where that needs to be, which looks to be 0.3889 apparently, and hit OK. So you're gonna have two tabs. You're gonna have the first one where the bullet point lines up, and the second one where the rest of the text lines up, and hit OK. And tab. You're gonna have to do two tabs on this line. Again, Shift Enter first. Bullet point first. Tab. You'll feel crazy by the time you're done with this. Shift Enter, tab. And we have our text over here. So again, we're gonna line up this text box as well with our baseline grid. And it looks like the, oops, Shift Enter, tab over. And I might need to just move this text box over a little bit. Or this needs to override that. Having trouble seeing where the heck I am. Hold on. Cucumber or celery needs to go to the next line. This healthy yummy needs to go to the next line. That up. Try. Close you for a second. Oranges. or strawberries. There we go. Wait, oh, I lost the rest of broccoli. That's what's going on. Like, where's the rest of that word? Shift enter. Rock. Oli, there we go. All right, so this bullet point does not match up. So what I need to do is I am going to need to adjust just this text box. So this is going to get a little bit weird because it's connected to this one. So I need to very carefully just select to the first tab in this text box. And the easiest way for me to do this is to actually, yeah, I am going to be saying tab in my sleep. You are 100% correct. That's probably going to happen. My husband's going to wake up and be like, were you doing InDesign in your sleep? And I'll be like, yeah, I was. All right, so the easiest way I think to fix this, to override that tab that we set up, is in the actual tab setting, which is in type. I gotta remember where it is because I know the quick key for it. So it's Command-Shift-T. Edit layout. No, it should be under type. Tabs. There we go. All right. And it'll bring that up. And you can see where you can drag this one over to where it needs to be. Right there. And you're going to have to open up this text box a little bit. And that should take care of that just in this text box. You'll notice I didn't adjust any of the tabs over here. Just, whoops, I screwed up this one though. Oh, I did adjust this one. Oh, I know why. I hit Shift Enter. This broccoli needs to be a hard enter. There we go. So I can separate it from this and fix this again. There. I can also make sure it's set up correctly by going into my paragraph styles and hitting tab 3. There we go. All right, so make sure broccoli is a hard enter to get it disconnected from this paragraph, or you're going to, when you change the tab in this one, you're going to accidentally change it in the whole hummus paragraph. Close that out. Put you back where you go. And we have one more photo to place. So again, File Place or Command D. Healthy snacks number 2. And place that. Oops. Probably easier to just bump her up a little bit with the white arrow key. Then close this up. Right there. All right, spot on. And save. And then I'm going to go into my layers. I'm going to turn on that blue background. Oh, and I lost, there we go, the hyphen right there. Make sure if you have your hyphens. All right, so one thing that we haven't discussed is when we added the folio and the student matters to this page, what did it do on page 4? It added it to page 4 because page 4 is set up on that master page. So what we need to do is we need to override the master page on page 4 and just get rid of that A master. So there's two ways that you could end up doing this. Is you can make a new master page called master page B and drag it on, or you can click on page 4 and either you know, override all master page items, which when you click on that, that means that it overrides it, and you can, they can now be selected on page 4, and you can just hit delete. I'm gonna Command Z a couple of times. Or the other thing that you can do is where it says none up here, that none master page, drag it onto page 4, and it does the same exact thing. So there's really two things that you can do. I'll be able to tell which one you did, because if you did the none, then that A is no longer applied. And if you override, which is right-clicking on it in the pages and go override all master page items, and you'll notice that the text boxes and everything are there, and then deleting it, it's still applied to that master page. Either one of those is correct, but I would like you to try to override the master page to get used to doing something like that, so that way you can understand how it works. But you should not have that Student Matters folio and the page number on page 4. Because remember, this is a mailing label. Also, double check on your page 4 and make sure your Independence University and the P.O. box and all of that, that it is, ooh, I did this on the wrong layer, didn't I? Ooh, that would have been bad. That's on my example layer. Oh, it's not on my example layer. I just placed it. I never did that on for you guys, with you guys. That would be why. All right, so make sure that the Independence University, that is also lined up on your baseline grid. All right, we have a half hour. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys who are here. Do you want to watch me finish up page 1 so you can see how I did all that stuff again? Or did you have any specific questions that you would like me to go over in the next half hour? Things that you didn't really understand that you would like me to go over one more time? It's really up to you guys.
On mine, when I did the paragraphs, where it says the drive cat, I'm still trying to have an issue with taking the red boxes out. I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
Oh, okay. Do you mind if I open yours up on the screen, the one that you submitted?
That's fine.
Okay, all right, I will do that. All right. Before I do that, let's go over packaging one more time. We'll pretend that my page 1 is finished and my page 4 is finished, and I'm super happy with my design. Everything looks great. I'm going to save it. Then I'm going to do File. I'm going to do Package. Click the Package button. Make sure nothing came up. Click Continue. I'm going to navigate over to week 4. I'm going to save it. Even though I already have a folder there, it should allow me to save it as a second one. It's probably going to rename it 2. Make sure I'm on high quality print for my PDF and click Package. And it does let me replace it. And I'll just replace it. Yes. Oh, because I'm working. All right, hold on. I know why it's doing that. Oops. If you're getting that same thing and it's like, hey, it's not letting me replace it, why? What you might want to do is take out the word folder so it's named a little bit differently. Maybe name it Final so you know that that's the one, and hit Package. It's because we're working out of the InDesign file that's within that folder, so it won't let us rewrite that folder, which is, yeah, wrap your brain around that for a second. Create that PDF. And again, make sure you're double checking everything before you zip it and submit it. So here's my final one. And just so I don't submit the wrong thing, I'm going to make a folder called old, or maybe I'll make it old week 3. I'm just going to move that in there so that way I know for sure this is the one I need to submit. You know, because again, Saturday, if you submit the wrong thing, I'm going to grade off of what you submit. Right click on it and compress it. Make sure before you do that, you have the IDML, you have the INDD file, you have the document fonts and links, and the PDF. Double check your PDF. See, if I had done this, I would have said, oh no, I forgot to put this in. Oh, actually, I forgot to turn off the background layer. Never mind. See, good thing I double checked, right? Let's do that one more time. Turn off your example layer. There we go. Save it. To File. Adobe PDF export. You can just put a brand new PDF. You don't have to repackage the whole thing in here. See if that's going to say, do you want to replace it? This time it'll replace it for you at least. Save your file and close it. And you can just get rid of the zip file that you had. Now let's double check it again. This time, why? Why is that showing up on, oh, I know why, never mind. Give it a moment. There we go, all right. Make sure everything looks right. If it looks like mine right now, it's definitely wrong. And again, recompress it and upload it. All right, so let's take a look at your week 3 and see where those red boxes were. All right, I had another student, just to let you know that this had happened to, and it was really weird. It was something was going wrong with their file. So let's double check that that's not happening to you. That is, oh, I think I know how this happened, possibly.
For the life of me, I couldn't get it off.
Yeah. I'm worried that there is a, and there's only, yeah, this is like embedded in a box. All right. I've had this happen to me. I just need to remember how the heck I got rid of it. Let me copy this into a new document. I'm just going to copy your text box into a new document, which I might suggest that you do too. See when I click on it, how you can see that there's different things. There's like literally a box right now that is embedded in this text box, and I need to, whoops, get rid of it. Boy. And it's gonna take like the right arrow to do it, because I gotta figure out when I have it selected. All right, so I know it's this paragraph that's doing it. So let's, it might be easiest, I'm not even kidding you, to delete that paragraph, go back in and copy and paste your text back in. That might honestly be the easiest way. Let's see what happens when I do that. That was the How to Succeed, I believe. Grab this. And this didn't have the bullets, but, right? Yeah. Yeah, somehow a rectangle box got embedded in here. And I'm not even kidding you. Like, I've had this happen to me before, and it is such a pain. Oh, and it's even moving with this. And it happened on this one too. And it's moving with it because I can see it.
Yeah, exactly. It's been driving me nuts. I'm trying to figure out why.
You know what? I literally, it's not even letting me delete it either. Ugh. Honestly, other than, it would probably make you less nuts to re-import the text. I'm not even kidding you. It would take less time than trying to figure this out. Let me see.
So now I gotta learn how to reposition it, the wraparound behind again.
Yes, what you can do is after you do this, after you move the text boxes, all you need to do is select the image and do Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. And the wraparound's still there, so it'll still work.
Gotcha.
See, I'll move this text box and see, it's still there. So I think that's probably going to be the easiest way, is to literally just put the text back in. I know that there's a way to get it out. It's like it's somehow embedded itself in there, and I can't, you saw, like, I can't get at it to get it out without deleting it. And I can still see it embedded. And I've had this happen to me, so it's not just you. Like, it's happened to me before, and it's super, super annoying. So I think that might be your best bet, is to just redraw those two text boxes. Otherwise, it would probably take you 10 times as long to try to get that embedded rectangle out of there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna just delete that.
Okay. I thought it was like, because last time what I was thinking was happening to you was for another student, something went really bizarrely wrong with their file, and it added a border to all of their text boxes, and no matter what we did, we couldn't get the border out. We just had to copy and paste everything into a new document, and then as soon as we did that, the border was gone. It was just that her file had gotten corrupted, and I had never seen that happen before. So I was like, oh, that's new. All right. Well, kind of like this. Oh, that's new. Sometimes it's kind of like Photoshop left and right or backwards now. So yeah, that's new. All right. Well, at least we got to the bottom of it. Not that I had like the world's best answer for you. Anything else that you guys want to go over before we end tonight?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right, awesome. Well, hopefully I will see you guys in the multi-session. If you have any problems, again, make sure that you are taking the career integration quiz. It's worth 15 points. It'll probably take you 5 minutes to do it. It's totally worth the 15 points. Make sure that you're taking your time with your final exam this week. And if you're running into any problems, what I would do is I would say, you know what, watch the live session video in full, and then if you have your tablet still, maybe try to watch it and work alongside me, because I put together all of pages 2 and 3 for you guys. So you really can follow right along with me this week, which is good. And I really look forward to seeing your finished products. And if you run into any problems, feel free to email me and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. And have a great night. I'm so glad you guys were able to make it, and I'm glad I had you guys for this class. All right, let's finish this week strong. Night.